Fit to Love, episode 170, Why Self-Love is Important.
Fit to Love is physical, emotional, and spiritual fitness to achieve the happy life you deserve. From exercise to cooking, relationships, and spirituality, you'll find all the inspiration you need right here with our host, JJ Flazanes.
Hello and welcome to Fit to Love Sexy Saturdays. Today's show, Why Self-Love is Important. So before we get started on our show topic, I do want to make a few announcements. And the first one is that this show, episode 170, is our last show. It's our season finale of season 1 of the Fit to Love podcast show. And it was only in the last week that I really decided to create seasons. And here's why. It's not because of lack of content. For any of you that are thinking, could she sustain 6 days a week all year long? And the answer is yes. But what came up for me was that people are traveling during the summer, and while, I'm producing a lot of content and I'm asking a lot of great guests to come on, and I've got some amazing shows out of this 170 shows that we first started with, and I want to make sure that they're as well marketed and as well shared as possibly can be before moving on to new content. For those of you that have subscribed and you've listened to and watched every single show, bravo. Thank you so much for being a part of this first season. I really appreciate it. I want to take a little time to just make sure that the show is the best it can be for you, that I'm providing every resource from the show possible to make your life better, easier, more healthy, and full of love. And some of the things that are coming in the near future are every single Tasty Tuesday has been transcribed. And what will happen next is it will be posted on the blog, and the recipe will be outlined for you so you can put it on Pinterest, you can download it, you can print it, you can share it. I know that a lot of you love the foods that we've been making on Tasty Tuesdays, but there's no convenient way for you just to see a recipe. So I wanted to make sure that I could fix that for you. And that's part of the reason why we're going to take the summer off and come back in September. So that way I can make sure every single book, every single MP3 download, every single free gift that every single guest has talked about is highlighted, easy to find, easy to get, easy to download, and easy to share. Next, I want to invite you, especially those of you who just subscribe through iTunes, and so you have your little download that shows up to say, hey, there's a new show. For those of you that only connect with me and the Fit to Love podcast show through iTunes, I invite you to come on over and subscribe to either the blog, so that way when the Tasty Tuesday episodes get transcribed and posted, you can print any recipes that are of interest to you. I invite you to come connect with me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, because I will be constantly sharing some of the best shows that we've done in this first season. There is just some amazing life-changing content, and I just want to make sure nobody misses that content. So I will always be active on Twitter and on Facebook, and soon to be Pinterest and Instagram, with a lot of the Tasty Tuesdays recipes and some of the photos. So you can connect to me and follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is my name, JJ Flazanes. You can find me on Pinterest and Instagram, and also connect with me on Facebook. If you want to be told which shows I'm highlighting and some of the programs that are coming out of the Fit to Love podcast show, we've got lots, both locally and on the phone. So teleconferences coming up. I'm being interviewed on a few conferences. I've got some celebrity guests being interviewed, and I've been interviewed on a ton of different podcast shows, which will be released and shared over the summer. And if you'd like to hear any of that, come on over to invisiblefitness.com/blog, and you can put your name and email address in and be notified. I send out 2 emails a month. So it's every other week. You won't be bombarded. And within those 2 emails are all the links to the different classes and the shows and any guest interviews that I've been on, or any new great products that I found that I want to share with you. So I invite you to connect with me and stay in touch so that you don't forget about all the great information that we have at the Fit to Love podcast show. And I promise we'll be back with amazing guests in September. I've already got the lineup. We've got more Tasty Tuesdays with a new chef and new recipes, easy stuff that you guys can make. We've got great content coming about relationships and the difference between men and women, and things for moms and mompreneurs, and shows about sugar, shows about probiotics, It's chock full. Season 2 will be amazing, even more amazing than season 1. So invisiblefitness.com/blog, or just come on over to fit2love.tv and sign in at the top. And again, you'll be notified every 2 weeks of what's going on, classes, products, and fun stuff that will keep you inspired and keep you living the healthiest life you can. So today's show, why self-love is important. Well, because love is a good thing, right? And again, the Fit to Love podcast show is all about bringing you the highest quality of love and satisfaction and vibration frequency into your life that you possibly can. And because today's a sexy Saturday and it's often about relationships and other people, I wanted to highlight again why this entire show was ever even created, which was about that everything starts with you and your relationship with you. How you talk to yourself, how you look at yourself, how you present yourself, how you feel about yourself. And some of that, actually most of that, was created at birth. And from the time you were 1 until the time you were about 8 or 9 was the most important self-development time in your life when it came to modeling your parents or messages that you got from other people about who you were, habits and beliefs that were formed subconsciously, you weren't even aware of them. And all of that subconscious stuff is probably still running your life, especially if you haven't dealt with or started to heal or take a different perspective about it. And while this show's not going to be about the hypnotherapy part or even about the therapy part, I just want to go over some of the ideas about the reflection that you get back from other people in life. I've got some friends who've gone through some divorces, and I've noticed and I watch, and I'm aware of this. I've seen it happen. You know, when you take a step back and you watch other people and their behaviors and their relationships and the dynamics and the messages and the subconscious messages that are being shared between people, again, non-verbally, you can see patterns and you can see indications. And if we're following a victim mentality, then it would be the belief that my marriage, not me personally, but my marriage didn't work out because it was my ex's fault. So whether you're a man or a woman and you've been divorced, maybe you thought that person was crazy and you walked away from the relationship because, and it doesn't even have to be a marriage, it could be exes, boyfriends and girlfriends that you had in the past that you now turn around and look at and think, well, it didn't work out because they were all crazy. And I finally found someone who wasn't crazy. And it's making it all about them. There's no power in that. For those of you that don't know, I have another live show called The Turning Point, and it's on latalkradio.com, and I have everybody come on as a guest. No experts, but if you are an expert, it doesn't matter because we don't talk about what you're an expert in. We actually focus on the turning point in your life, the turning point of the crisis or the drama or the negative, shameful times that you've gone through, and reframe it. So that way you can look back at it and see why it was absolutely necessary for your growth. The Turning Point is on hiatus until August 5th of 2015. So if you're interested, you can listen to any of the past shows on iTunes or go to latalkradio.com. And if you want to be on the show, I'd love to have you to share your turning point. Make sure to get in touch with me, info@invisiblefitness.com. And when we start the show back in August, I'd love to have you on as a guest to share your turning point and to transform that relationship you have with the things that have happened to you, or better yet, the things you've manifested. This show wants to teach and educate and empower you to not take the victim perspective, or if you have been taking the victim perspective, show you a better way. And why it's a better way is because it gives you your power back. You get to decide and choose if you want to look at a situation from a standpoint of being a victim, that stuff just happens, that you're unlucky and all this stuff is just a luck of the draw and you've got no control over it. And that's an absolute belief that a lot of people have. And it is easier. It is easier. But it doesn't feel better. It doesn't feel better to feel like the world is against you, or that it's the luck of the draw, or that you've got no responsibility or no participation in it. I choose to look at things as divinely created and that I chose it all before I came. They're sacred contracts that happen throughout my life. So if we look at people as a mirror to what's going on within us, then we're given messages and clues about what is needed for our growth and expansion. And happiness, my friends, is a choice. It's about how we interpret information. It's about how we choose to believe things happen and our role that we play in that. So why self-love is important? It's the practice of literally taking responsibility, not from the place of shame or blame, but from the place of power and from divine intervention, if you will. Or if you're not religious or spiritual, maybe just think of it as universal energy or metaphysical energy that says that energy can only be moved and changed. It can't be created or destroyed. So if I'm having an experience or I'm having a conflict with somebody, and let's say that conflict keeps repeating itself in my life, I get to choose whether I think that's just sort of a random act or if I actually created that. And when you dive into self-love practices, when you look at healing some of these wounds that have been going on and perpetuating in your life, you actually will transform your outcome, your experience, your relationships, your feeling, your body, the way that you are in the world will shift, I promise you. You are probably taught both energetically as well as verbally through modeling, through your parents, through your siblings, through other adults that might have lived with you or raised you. And those people made a great impact on you in your life. And energetically, that got embedded in your cells. And so some of the stuff you may come up against on your self-love journey won't even be yours. I'm sure I shared it on one of these shows about an incident that I had with my mom. It wasn't an incident, but I'd had a experience at my house and having some conflict, not with me, but with other people and some uncomfortable feelings. And then I noticed what came up for me and worked with one of the therapists at the time I was working with. And she said, it sounds like insecurity. And I completely identified with that, but I didn't know where it came from. And then I went a couple days later on a vacation with my mom in Jamaica, and I noticed the energetic feelings that she had in a new place, and it was that of insecurity. And I know that when she gets nervous, she talks a lot, or she has very anxious energy. And I just watched her, and I started to cry. Secretly, I didn't tell her I was crying. And it wasn't out of shame or guilt or sadness of her necessarily. It was out of the fact that these feelings that I was having were modeled for me. They were embedded in me energetically through loving and caring for my mother and being raised in her house. And so I had to stand back and look and see that this wasn't even my stuff, but it was stuff that I was reenacting and modeling. So this journey of self-love takes introspection. It takes care and the same amount of attention you would give a child or someone that you love. Because what I like to say for the Fit to Love brand is that if you can't love and respect yourself, why would you expect someone else to? I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? If you can't stop and give yourself care and love yourself and ask yourself what you need and provide that for yourself, why, and that's what you're modeling for others, why would somebody swoop in and do it for you? They might. But wouldn't it be a better, more strong, confident, centered, calming place for you to say, I like myself. I have the amount of self-respect to know that I'm a good person and to take care of myself? Because isn't that what you want to teach your children? Isn't that what you want others to see? Because doesn't that mean that you're self-sufficient? Not that we don't need other people. But are you going to teach your children and your friends that in order for them to feel loved, that other people have to jump through hoops for them? So hopefully this has hit a nerve or made some sense for you, because I believe that what we're all searching for is love, period. It's the end goal, right? Don't you just want to experience and feel happiness and love? If you just dive down underneath all the reasons why you want all the things you want, money, cars, a relationship, a family, keep going deeper, deeper, deeper. What's at the bottom? What is it you really, really want? You want love. You want to feel love and feel good. And you know what the really awesome thing is? That you can do that right now under whatever circumstance you're under. It just has to be a shift of your mindset and your interpretation of what's going on. And that's the point. The point is, if we always look outside of ourselves to feel love, then it's going to be fleeting and conditional. And it's going to be based on somebody else's behavior or our interpretation of someone else's behavior. And that's fleeting. We can't trust that. You can't expect other people to change so that you feel good. It's unrealistic. We're looking for love and to feel good. And I want to share with you during this show, Fit to Love podcast, 170 shows, all woven in through every single show, is the empowerment position that you can do that for yourself now. And I promise you that when you can do it for yourself and you come from that place, what you will manifest will be better, will be stronger, will be more real, because it's coming from a very strong foundation and not a foundation of I have a hole in my bucket and I need to fill it. And rather than putting the Band-Aid on it, I'm going to just keep filling it, but it's going to keep leaking because there's a hole. And that hole might be in your heart. And that hole might be something that happened to you or that you interpret or that you're emotionally carrying around with you energetically for years and years. And while it doesn't have to be hard, and doesn't have to be long, and doesn't have to be drawn out, and God, please, it does not have to be years and years and years and years of therapy. It doesn't. There are so many other tools that I've provided for you, people, resources that can help you get in there, heal this stuff, and get out, get to the other side. So remember that you're a model for others. And the energy that you keep practicing is the energy you keep receiving from others. We are a mirror. People are a reflection of what we're putting out there. And it doesn't mean, again, to take it from a place of you're doing something wrong or shame. I don't want you to feel shame or guilt or bad about yourself. In fact, I want you to feel the opposite. So how we have to get there is going to be determined on what level of consciousness you're at and what kind of work you're willing to do. Are you willing to love yourself? Are you willing to allow yourself to forgive yourself and to heal that? It might take a little bit of time and work, but isn't the payoff going to be worth it? Isn't feeling good and having happiness and love what you want? So I'm going to conclude this show because I'm going to get off the soapbox and really invite you to, if you've missed any show, to go back through the list and review, revisit, listen to it again, reach out to some of the guests I've had. I promise you they can help. I've worked with a lot of them. That's why they're on the show. And I think they're great, which is why they're on the show. And if you feel like some of these shows were impactful to you, I invite you to share it with others. I really am trying to make a difference. And I know I will attract the right and perfect people to help me do that. And during this hiatus between season 1 and season 2, it is my mission to share this show, to invite people to share the show with others, to increase the awareness of the work that's being done by me, by the people that I've had on the show, my guests, and by you, the people that keep supporting it. So thank you. And I also want to give a shout out to Audible as one of our new sponsors. If you love audiobooks and you would like a free trial, you can get a free audiobook. Go to fittolovebook.com. That's FIT, the number 2, LOVEBOOK.com to get your free audiobook and a free 30-day trial, risk-free. If you don't like it, you can cancel before the 30 days and pay nothing and keep your audiobook. So again, I want to thank Audible for being a sponsor of the Fit to Love podcast show. And I want to thank you, the listener. Again, if you're on iTunes only, I may post a few videos or a few shows that I've been on throughout the summer to keep you engaged, but I really invite you to come back over to the site, sign in so we can be in touch. And if we're on Twitter together or Facebook, you'll see that I'm going to keep reposting some of the best, most popular, impactful shows to keep you motivated, to keep you on this journey, to let you know that others are doing it too, and to support you every step of the way. Thank you so much for listening, and I cannot wait for season 2 of the Fit to Love podcast show. Are you single and looking for love? Are you in a stale and passionless relationship that needs a reboot? I am giving away free copies of Fit to Love, How to Get Physically, Emotionally, and Spiritually Fit to Attract the Love of Your Life when you subscribe to this podcast. Visit fittolove.tv/ebook to download your copy today. Today's show was brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at fittolovebook.com. With over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player, it is 100% risk-free. That's fittolovebook.com, FIT2LOVEBOOK.com. The Fit to Love podcast show offers you 6 days a week of helpful content to achieve the happy life you deserve. Movement Mondays and Tasty Tuesdays are weekly videocasts, while Wellness Wednesdays, Thoughtful Thursdays, Freedom Fridays, and Sexy Saturdays are audio-only shows themed every week to address your holistic life and needs. If the show inspired you, we would love for you to share it and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us today. Head on over to fittolove.tv for recaps of every show, resources, and to join the community. That's FIT2LOVE.tv. Have a fit and fabulous day.